Mental health is a big issue and a challenge of our time. Any extended period of stress or anxiety can potentially affect our mental health. I've developed a model to analyze how stress and anxiety come about and also how it can then affect our well-being. I will show you that model shortly. I am looking for research teams and companies working on mental health issues. So, what causes stress and anxiety in us? In short, it happens when we think one way and act quite differently. It happens when our actions and thoughts are misaligned. But misaligned with what? Misaligned with our intellect or knowledge. So, my model uses 3 levels of attributes: action level, thought level, and knowledge level. Knowledge can also be seen as facts, figures, experience, but also the right and the wrong that is taught by our parents and teachers. I have studied these values for a long time and have analyzed them in a systematic way. Values that come from different systems, such as cultures, schools of thought, companies, faiths, and national values such as British values or American values. I have brought these together into a model that contains both positive values like love, compassion, peace, truth, and contentment, but also negative values such as hate, malevolence, untruth, and discontent. There are hundreds of such values which can all be viewed in a structured manner in the 3 levels that we operate at: knowledge, thought, and actions, represented by head, heart, and hands. If I'm asked to do something, even if I know that is the right thing to do, I may not always do it, immediately or ever. This happens because this middle level of thought is softly wired in us. It is our indiscipline at this level that prevents right actions from being taken. On the other hand, robots will not suffer from stress or anxiety because they do not have the thinking faculty. They just act based on instructions which are hard or soft wired to specific actions. I've set various positive and negative values using this grid, as I have shown here. What I have is the classical XY grid shown, but with love on its horizontal axis and truth at its vertical axis. And I have drawn a circle to say there is a limited definitions of love and truth that we will operate in, and also place the other values within. So if we look at a similar concept but at action level, there are hundreds of values that we can fit here, but I'm just showing some of the ones in this positive quadrant, Q1, where when there is a right balance of love and truth, I've called it the right conduct. But also there are other values such as helpfulness, dependability, and modesty, all positive values. But at the other end, in Q3, quadrant 3, you have the opposite values, which are misconduct, unreliability, hindrance, and so on. And we can go to the thought level. Similarly, we can actually put the positive values in this quadrant 1 and all the negative values in quadrant 3. We can actually populate these as well, but for simplicity, we'll keep away from that. We can also go to the knowledge level, where again, we can fit positive values such as non-violence or non-violation, consideration, care for the environment, and so on. And at the other extreme, the negative values such as disregard, exploitation of the environment, and so on. So we can bring all these 3 levels into a physical model like that to analyze our actions, thought, and knowledge. And I'll show you how we can apply this in a practical situation. So let's go to an example of that we face. It's a dilemma that we face every day. It's of driving above legal speed limit. So here is the model. I showed you how the 4 quadrants of the model works. So here there is quadrant 1 with love and truth as the 2 axes going outwards, and this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. As you can see, I have marked with these clips the quadrant with both truth and love all along in this quadrant, same at the knowledge level, as thought level, as the action level. This is quadrant 2 with just the truth but no love. This is quadrant 4 with love but no truth marked. And of course, this is quadrant 3, which is the worst of the 4. So let me show you how this model works using the example that I alluded to. But first of all, let me first put a marker down. I want to mark a reference point here, and I will put this symbol here, the wise owl, to mark the reference point as being good. We all drive cars, and for one reason or another, we end up driving at speed higher than the legal speed limit. This is going beyond rules and regulations. So this situation, when we are driving, would be considered as love of driving at the expense of truth. Now, we may be driving fast and slow, so coming in and out of this possible tension quite easily. This what I call the outer tension, when there is misalignment of action with thought. But what happens when we are caught by the police? At that stage, we are made to reconcile our thought with action. And what happens is that the tension that was here, the outer tension, is now transferred to inner tension. That has now gone from action and thought to between thought and knowledge. So this is the tension that we need to be very careful with, because if it's there for any extended period of time, that can cause stress and anxiety. So having seen the model, let's summarize what we've just seen. When we take small risks, there is conflict between action and thought. And what happens is that we're actually dealing with this level. When there is misalignment of actions, there is tension at this level. But if someone catches us speeding, then the tension is then between thought and knowledge. It becomes a lot more internal. And that's when there is misalignment of values between thought and knowledge. Such a model can also be applied to other conditions, such as medical conditions, anorexia nervosa, for instance, where the fact is that the patient or the person is not fat at all. Diagnosis may also show malnutrition and or other complications. But the actions that he or she performs are completely different to what they should be. For instance, they may not be eating or missing meals and exercising despite feeling tired. As far as thought is concerned, there is that they have a distorted image of one's body. Mind may also be affected by bullying, social media, society, and so on, that may have really contributed from an earlier time. So we can apply this model into a situation like this. Again, this is a very simplistic look at the condition. So this model is based on a series of hypotheses that I have come up with. As you have seen, it is sparsely populated with values and is largely qualitative in nature. I have several ideas to take it further and make it into a more quantitative model for applications in mental health education, training, and therapies. As a company, we're looking to work with researchers and practitioners in this field. So if you are interested in this model, do get in touch with me.